All right, ladies and gentlemen, your favorite podcast is back. Welcome back to episode 67 of the Fat Katz podcast, and from yours truly, Ward and Cam. Happy Hump Day. Also, happy fantasy football draft kickoff week. I think mostly about everybody has had their fantasy football draft at some point. So drop in the comments, let us know who your top couple picks were, and I'll tell you mine. I'm very excited. So glad to be back, Cam. It is. I've talked to you a lot this week, but it is good to see you again, my friend. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Excited to see you. I always say this is my favorite time of the week. We get to, forget about everything, just talk about sports for an hour.
Yep.
So it's nice to be back. Off a short week, technically. I think we were Thursday last week, Wednesday this week. So kind of a short week, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Um, we always kind of usually you title our podcast. I
I
titled it
know
this
I didn't have anything to title it this week.
This week we're calling it the quiet before the storm. This is the last week of like stuff we have to try to find stuff to talk about. Next week, Saturday, football starts. Week
Well,
zero.
Cam, I think we've been doing a good job. I will say. I think all the
Oh, really?
listeners are entertained. And what I want you to finish your segment and then pass the ball back to me. I have a little analogy of your title.
Okay, cool. But yeah, technically it's week -1 in college football here on Saturday. Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Dublin. We got a Hawaii game, a SMU game. So, and then week zero starts on Thursday with Western Carolina, NC
I
State.
thought no, next week's week one, Cam. This is week zero.
Is it? Okay, my
Yeah.
bad. Hold
That
up,
that's
my
why
bad.
I put negative or week -0 last or -1 last week. Yeah,
Okay,
this is
cool.
it's different because usually Notre Dame always plays week zero. They're not playing this year, obviously. So yeah, the people have been confused with it. This is week zero now. Week one is next week.
Okay, cool. My bad. But yeah, bad way to start off the podcast. But I do want to hear your analogy now.
All right, so my analogy, ladies and gentlemen. So, like Cam said, quiet before the storm. So, right now, everybody's at the beach, like standing on the beach, the badasses that don't want to leave the beach when there's an evacuation warning. Right now is when they're like just turning on the cameras on the news. So you can see the white caps coming. You see all them big old puffy clouds coming in. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, here comes Saturday. The eye is going to be coming over because guess what, Cam?
Football
Football's
starts.
back, baby.
Yeah.
Football's back. So yeah, so we're quiet before the storm, calm before the storm. The damn storm's rolling, and it has a trajectory of coming straight towards Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina.
I think part of my take has said this in the past, but like this is our new year. Like when football starts, that's when the new year rolls around.
Yep.
January 1st, who cares?
Yeah,
This
who
is the
cares,
new
man?
year for us.
The only thing that cares about is the companies that we work with, man. Us, this is the new year.
Absolutely. But like Ward said, episode 67, we want to remind everybody, find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. If you're here, you know that. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, leave a comment, whether you like it or hate it. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Fat Katz Pod. Ward, real quick, I do have a shout out for all our sports gamblers out there. Our boy Novak has started a blog on an app called Substack for sports betting. Every day he's giving you guys a pick. So go check that out. I'll put the link in the bio or in the description on this video. But yeah, if you're interested in sports betting on college football and NFL, Novak's got it for you.
Well, tell
Because
Novak he makes me some money. He won't be my empty stomach anymore. He's still my empty stomach after that shit he pulled at University of South Carolina, not walking on. But yeah, speaking real quick, Ken. Speaking of walking on, I made a road to glory quarterback in the new game last night, and I took my talents to Columbia, South Carolina, if they were the best school that wanted me to play there. So yeah.
we're going to deep dive into the Gamecocks today. We've real quick show preview. First favorite forgotten as always. We'll start out full plate, empty stomach. We've got a question of the week, which is really not a question, more so like story time, memory lane. We've got a UFC 305 recap that we'll run through real quick. A lot of college football stuff, and then a real quick segment on NFL preseason, and then we will get into our pet peeve of the week, and we'll get out of
Yep.
here, Ward.
Let's do it,
But
Cam.
like we always start, first favorite forgotten. Jersey number most of the time goes with the episode number, so with
Yes.
67 being today. Ward, go ahead and kick us off, man. I know you're starting to hate the big boys in
Yeah,
UFC.
man. I told Cam we've been doing this for it seems like 17 weeks now. It's been big boy. Well, not full 17, but really been big boys for a good amount, Cam. And ladies and gentlemen, I am so tired of first favorite forgotten because I'm tired of doing research on players. Usually the players with skill guys, they usually come to mind. Sometimes big men come to mind. This number 67 did not come to mind, Cam. So first 67 that came to kind of mind, I remember it because it was very recent. Into March, Cam, round of 32, the NC State Wolfpack beat Marquette 67-58. So, first one, NC State Wolfpack basketball.
There you go. And that's
Led
why I
by
said,
DJ Burns, who had 20 points that game.
there you go. That's why I said most of the time episode number goes with the jersey number, because when you get to these numbers, you got to get a little bit, you got to get creative, Ward. So with my first, I also got creative. My first that came to mind is Johnny Unitas, Louisville football legend, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. He never once in his career wore the jersey number 67, Ward, but in 1967, he was the NFL MVP. So Johnny
Nice.
Unitas was the first guy that came to mind. Don't ask me how I know that Johnny Unitas was the 1967.
That was smart, Cam. Great pull there. I have something interesting coming down the line. But anyway, favorite number 67 is the best number 67 to ever wear the number for the Washington Redskins football team commanders. His name is Rusty Tillman, former Pro Bowl left tackle back in the 60s for us. So never watched this guy play, but Rusty Tillman, favorite 67.
Yeah, a great lineage of great linemen that played for that historic franchise. So
Yeah.
Rusty Tillman was one of the first. Keeping it with offensive line, my favorite, Kedron Smith. Now, a lot of you guys won't know who this is. He played offensive line with me at Butler. Keeping it with the Butler guys for my favorites. I think this is the second week in a row. But yeah, Kedron Smith. He's an all-state left tackle, Ward. He also played right tackle for us. So his
Nice.
brother will
Where
be
did he play
coming up.
ball at in school? College?
He went to Ferrum. He was only like 5'10", and he's playing tackle. But really good football player, and he's now coaching. So shout out to Kedron Smith.
Nice. Kedron, nice. But awesome. Moving forward, Cam, forgotten number 67, Cam, is a man by the name of Nolan Ryan. You ever heard of Nolan Ryan?
I have, yeah.
I have not. 67 years ago, he recorded his 1,000th strikeout in the MLB. So thought that was cool. 67 years ago today, Cam. So I have no idea how you heard of him. I might have to fact check you there because I couldn't tell you who Nolan Ryan is.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah. My forgotten number 67 is Taj Gibson. I saw this. A lot of people were talking about this in the UFC. Like the new fans of the UFC, they see Tony Ferguson and they're like, "Oh, he's awful." But we saw the prime of Tony Ferguson, right,
Yeah.
Ward? So we know what Tony Ferguson was. We saw the prime of Taj Gibson on those Chicago Bulls teams. He was incredible for those teams, and now he's just this washed-up guy that somehow gets on the Knicks or any Tom Thibodeau team ever. Taj Gibson was a really good NBA player in his prime, so I want people to recognize that he was.
Taj Gibson's a Florida guy. I might be wrong. He's a Florida guy, isn't he? Wasn't he on that Gators team that won in 05 and 06? Or
no, that was Al Horford, Joakim
Noah is who I'm thinking about. Joakim Noah, okay.
Corey Brewer was on that team.
Okay.
White Chocolate played for Billy Donovan. He wasn't on that team, but he was on the year before.
Yeah.
But yeah, or not the year before, a couple years before.
Cam, that was a good pull there. That was a really good pull. I didn't think about that.
He's one of two players in NBA history to wear the jersey number 67, Ward.
No. Fact check. Who's the other guy?
Can't tell you. But Ward, we move on. Full plate, empty stomach. Full plate, somebody who had a good week in sports. Empty stomach, somebody who had a bad week in sports. I've got 3 empty stomachs this week because it's been a fun week in sports.
Yeah.
So, go and kick us off, though, Ward.
Kick us off, Cam, or I will kick us off, actually. Name check me. Kalen DeBoer, a new Alabama head coach. Did I pronounce that correct? I'm not good with names.
Kalen DeBoer.
DeBoer, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm not good with names sometimes. But anyway, Cam, I was running on the treadmill at the gym this morning, and I usually watch ESPN when I run on the treadmill. He did a complete renovation to Nick Saban's old office, and he said that it looked like a I can't remember what he said. He said it was extremely outdated, and he kind of threw some shade at the greatest of all time, Nick Saban. And anyway, it looks really cool now, and it just looks not even cool. It looks modern. Saban's
Yeah.
office looked like it almost looked like a library. There's bookshelves everywhere,
Yeah.
a big old desk. It looked older, and now it looks extremely modern. Thought that was cool. That's really the first personal touch that Dubar has put on the Crimson Tide program. I thought it was kind of cool, Cam. So I'll give him my game ball this week, or my full plate this week.
Yeah, I'll try to find the pictures for the Instagram, but yeah, Kevin DeBoer, it's all bright lights, the Alabama logos everywhere, the
Yeah,
shoes, the helmets. When you look at Saban's office, it kind of looks like a church or a library, like you said. It's very
yeah,
dim lighting, all mahogany wood,
yeah,
bookshelves everywhere. I mean, it's definitely a different style.
yeah,
Um, but I think those styles fit those guys. Kevin DeBoer, like an up and coming guy, very flashy offense, and Saban was just an old school guy. So
yep,
I, I don't know if you need to throw shade at him, but it's definitely a different of styles.
yep.
My full plate this week is Gardner Minshew. He's named the starter for the Las Vegas Raiders award. You
Good for
think about
him,
a
dude.
Yeah, you think about a guy who started at ECU, didn't want to play and burn his red shirt, so he broke his hand with a hammer. Then he goes to Wazoo and gets into that air raid offense, breaks records at Washington State, and he's been on 3 NFL teams. He started for 3 different NFL
Yeah,
teams, and now the Las Vegas Raiders got their QB1.
pretty cool, dude. Hey, and I wasn't paying attention. Did you say East Carolina's when he broke his hand?
Yeah,
Greenville will do that to you, man. Greenville will do that to you. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And the only reason why he is starting is because the Atlanta Falcons decided to take Michael Penix after giving Kirk Cousins $200 million or whatever he gave him. So that the Raiders were fully banking on drafting a quarterback. But yeah, so very interesting there, Cam. I'll go ahead and jump into my next empty stomach. I have two this week, ladies and gentlemen. One, I think everybody has heard about the Brian Flores situation. Former head football coach for the Miami Dolphins was fired after a 9-8 season, which a lot of people found very interesting. Then he went to the Steelers, and now he's on the Browns. Cam, who's he on?
Vikings,
Vikings. There
Vikings.
we go. Well, anyway, Brian Flores. If anybody hasn't heard, Tua came out. Tua Tagovailoa, however you say his last name, came out on a podcast and was talking about how Brian Flores used to tell him how awful he was, how he didn't want to pick him on that team, da 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 da. And Cam, both of us as former players, both of us, neither one of us were quarterbacks, but there's one thing that's the most important thing that an athlete can have in any sport, and that's confidence. And for a coach to destroy a rookie's confidence, already walking in and getting thrown to the wolves, it's not a good look, man. So Brian Flores has come out and publicly said he was in the wrong, but as a guy that's trying to get a next head coaching opportunity, this is not a step in the right direction. So Brian Flores, empty stomach, Fat Katz, co-host Ward.
Yeah, well, and if you remember Ward, like he was big on, like he wanted to be part of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm.
They actually got draft picks taken away for tampering,
Mm-hmm.
and then he got fired. So yeah, the Brian Flores Miami Dolphins teams. When you look back, he was a great head coach,
They
but
were
that was
good, we'll say.
absolute, yeah, that was an absolute disaster. My first empty stomach word is going to be NIL agents for college football players. Mike Gundy came out, said, "Hey, all my football players, I told them in our team meeting, tell your agents to stop calling my phone. We're not giving you more money. Football season started. That's all we're caring about is football.
Wow.
You can call me after the season. We can change numbers. Tell your agents to stop calling me for more money." Mike Gundy has had quite the press tour this offseason, but I love this. Like, stand up. Like, this is football season.
Damn
They
right.
can't go anywhere. The transfer portal's closed. These agents are trying to get more money. I'm glad Mike Gundy finally took a stand.
Dude, Dabo Sweeney. Imagine they're calling him asking for money during team meetings. Dabo Sweeney's not going to, the way he feels about NIL, that'd be an interesting one.
Absolutely.
But awesome. Well, Cam, let me run through my last empty stomach real quick. Atlanta Braves, saw this on ESPN this morning too. They are dropping like flies right now. They're having to pull up everybody from the minors to play just because I think 4 out of their 5 best players have gotten hurt. They were the projected team to win the World Series. Obviously, it's not looking good for them right now. So there must be something in the air down there in Atlanta, Georgia. So Atlanta Braves, empty stomach this week.
Yeah, Colby G is probably punching his screen right now watching this. He's a huge Braves fan. I hear about it about every day how bad of luck the Braves have had, and I don't wish that on anybody, man. You have a former MVP get hurt like the first week of the season, a Cy Young favorite get hurt, your
Yeah.
star first baseman get hurt, and like you said, they're just dropping like flies in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, rough way to go about it for the Braves.
Yep.
My second empty stomach ward is a man by the name of Howie Booth. Howie Booth was a judge on the UFC 305 card,
Hmm.
and after the Tai Tuivasa fight, the Western Australia Combat Sports Commission relieved him of his duties after he judged Tuivasa versus Rosenstrike 30-27 in favor of Tuivasa. The other two judges didn't even give Tuivasa a round, so Rosenstrike has a split decision win on his record in a fight that he absolutely dominated. And Dana White said that he came out and said that Howie Booth will never be allowed to judge another fight in the UFC.
Well, man, the same thing happened with Sean Strickland. I don't know if you remember the Sean Strickland Paulo Costa. One of the refs came out and said, "Sean, it was a split." And
Yep.
everybody was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Same thing happened with Chito Vera, and this is the fight he had before he got the title shot against
O'Malley.
O'Malley. So interesting.
Yeah. Combat sports, man, it's tough when you've got such I mean, not refs, but judges.
Yeah,
Boxing has had this problem for years, and now it's starting to leak its way into the UFC.
yeah.
Uh, Ward, I think I said I have three. I actually have four. Delaware State, real quick, missed their 10.5 hour flight to Hawaii for the game this Saturday. So they're currently at JFK trying to find a new flight to Hawaii.
Wow.
And Texas A&M recruiting, Ward. 2 days ago, Mike Elko and his new staff, Ward, woke up. They'd gotten two commitments. They had the number 7 recruiting class in the country. I know what you're saying, Cam. How's that an empty stomach? You have the top 10 class in the country. That 7th class in the country is good for 6th in the SEC.
Wow.
So Texas A&M recruiting, man,
I
you
didn't
get a
know
top
that. Where's Kentucky?
25th.
Okay.
So yeah,
In
we're
the
not we're
SEC? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it. But yeah, Mike Elko is going to have a tough run at A&M, I believe.
Yeah, no doubt,
But
dude. That's interesting.
Ward, question of the week. We'll call it story of the week. We've got recruiting stories. I've got a few. None as interesting as the one I think you're going to tell.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go ahead and start because I think this is one of the funniest stories I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
So I got two, Cam. I'm gonna start out really quick with I was thinking about this the other day. School by the name of Garner Webb University in Boiling Springs, North Carolina. Cam, did you ever go to Garner Webb? Ever going to visit there?
Yeah, I've visited a couple of times.
Okay, so I'll just break it down really quick. Cam, when you go to a college, I know you think the same way as I do. Like obviously it's cool for the football aspect, but when you go to college, what's the one thing you're searching around looking for?
You're looking at the females most of
It,
the time.
boom. Garner Webb, slim pickings, my friend. So anyway, real quick, I'll jump into this story. So went to Garner Webb. Me and my buddy Drew went. We tag teamed it with Garner Webb had a noon game. Charlotte had an 8 o'clock game. So we went. We ended up just killing two birds with one stone. Anyway, went to Garner Webb. Started out, couldn't find anywhere to park. Finally found a place to park. And Cam, something I used to look forward to when going on recruiting visits was I love the name tags and the
The
not the
lanyards.
key the lanyards they would give you.
Yep.
So we went to Garner Webb. They didn't give us a lanyard, and I was like, "You got to be freaking kidding me!" Because I think everybody had a collection of all the lanyards that they collected.
Absolutely.
I know I did. So I was pissed I didn't get one of those. I'm like, "All right, whatever." And then usually when you go on game day recruiting day, or when you go on game day recruiting visits, they have a buffet lined out for you. There's always you get to meet all the coaches. Nothing, man. They didn't have food lined out for us. They brought us in the basement of their field house into a classroom, and their DC came in and like talked to us and like wrote up some like different personnel things on the board, and it was like a classroom, and I was like, man, okay, whatever. So then we get out on the field. This was the last but not least, or this second last thing that happened to me. Get out on the field, and all the players doing individual drills. Everybody, I was a linebacker, so I go over to the linebacker individual drills. And I start chopping it up with one of the hurt guys, dap him up, start talking to him. And I'm like, man, so how you like Gardner Webb? He goes, I like it. There's just not shit to do. And I was like, man, y'all don't party or anything around here? He goes, no, we got to go to Charlotte for that. And I looked down at my phone. I was like, I wonder how far Charlotte is from here. Charlotte's an hour and 20 minutes away. And I'm like, man, that's an expensive Uber. So, that was interesting. Then we went and actually sat in the crowd. I did not see one girl above a Coe 6. And everybody knows anything about Coe. A Coe 6 is a Raleigh 4 because we got some pickings in the mountains too at times. So then from there, I was like, okay, Gardner Webb, not really. If they offered me, I would have went, but they did not offer me. They are D1. They're pretty good in football now, but the talent and the drinking beer scene was not much out there. So that's my first story. Cam, you can jump into yours.
Yeah, one of the crazier stories, and I don't even know if this is real. I mean, I guess it's technically a recruiting story. So as you guys know, senior year I tore my ACL, MCL, PCL, like just destroyed my knee. And believe it or not, Ward, when you have that big of a surgery, college coaches usually kind of stop talking to you.
Oh yeah.
So I was kind of thinking I was going to play FCS, lower Division One. When that happened, mostly D2 schools reached out, and I went on a visit to a school called Concord in West Virginia. My great grandmother went there. My grandmother went there. My aunt went there. Like it's like all
I
my
had a
family.
buddy that played there actually.
Yeah, they recruited Charlotte and Raleigh pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Like they had a lot of guys from there. I go on an official visit. It's a game day visit, and they're playing West Virginia State, who would ultimately be my biggest rival in college when I went to Charleston. West Virginia State took a knee during the national anthem.
Oh.
And there was a Concord fan from the stands, probably 70 fans in the entire stands, by the way, screaming racial slurs at the West Virginia State players.
That's not good.
So much so that the instructor of the band had to stop the national anthem, turn around, tell the guy to stop talking, and restart the national anthem.
Wow.
I remember looking at my dad, and I think by the first quarter, Concord was losing by like 35 points. I was like, I don't think I'm going to go here. You want to just go ahead and head home? And he's like, I was waiting for you to ask that.
And Cam, go ahead. Sorry, I'll let you finish. My bad.
Well, Concord got crossed off the list, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. And I will say, like, going on different visits and stuff, and I don't know, for any of our fans listening, I don't know if this impacted you guys at all going on visits. I grew up going to big Power 5 football games. Big thing for me was crowds. Wake Forest High School, I will say, Wake Forest High School always had a big crowd. I know whenever my senior year, we played in front of, for high school football, 12,000 people is a lot of people. We played in front of 12,000 people when we played our rival on senior night. But I remember going to like a couple D3 schools, D2 schools, like smaller D1 schools. Gardner Webb, perfect example. They're a smaller D1 school. There was more people at my high school football games that were at that football game. Like I know I went on a couple D3 visits, and it was like a big thing for me is I wanted to play in front of people. And that is one thing, hats off to Western. I'm not going to say if it's because the band or the football team. E.J. Whitmire Stadium gets packed out. They put asses in seats. There's not much to do out there, so a lot of people from the community come to the football games. But that's one thing I do want to give a shout out to Western for, is they're very good at that. But
absolutely. Let me tell two quick ones real quick, and will you tell the
I'll
Carolina
tell mine
story?
too. Yeah, sorry, I've just been kind of jumping around.
So I had two debacles when it came to recruiting. As a freshman, I went and visited Purdue for a game day visit. And
Purdue, nice.
Yeah, so that trip to Indiana, by the way, is brutal. If you've never been, West Lafayette, Indiana, checked off the list, by the way. But I gave them my phone number, and recruiting coaches, they hit you up or whatever. I changed phone numbers, Ward, going into my sophomore year, and I gave my old phone to my grandfather. I came to visit for Thanksgiving my sophomore year, and my Gigi says, this random number has been texting your grandfather a lot. I was like, okay, well, I checked it out. The Purdue coach had sent me 30 text messages my sophomore year trying to get me to come on a visit. And in his mind, obviously, I had just been ignoring him. Little did he know he's texting my 74-year-old grandfather.
That is hilarious, dude.
Texted him from my new phone number, and all I got was a text back that said, "We've moved on." Uh,
Wow.
so,
What school was this?
Purdue.
Wow.
Yep. And then junior year, Charlotte was recruiting me. Uh, Coach Ratliff was recruiting me. God rest his soul. He was one of the best recruiting coaches in the country at that time.
Yeah.
And right when he passed away, they got a new recruiting coordinator for the Charlotte area. And I don't know if you ever had this problem where that new iPhone that I was just talking about had a thing where it hid messages from unsaved numbers.
Uh-huh.
It had like a different tab in messages for unsaved numbers. And I didn't pay attention to it. And I looked one day and I had like 4 messages from the new Charlotte recruiting coordinator trying to get me on a visit and had not texted him back in weeks. So that was another one where, so any recruits out there, make sure that you're checking your messages because that could be the difference between you getting a scholarship and not. And ultimately, I did not get a scholarship from Purdue or Charlotte because I didn't check my phone.
That is hilarious. I will say Charlotte was one of the coolest visits I ever went on. Charlotte was cool. It's actually the first big college football jersey I ever put on. I went on a visit there and they let all the recruits put on the jersey and a helmet and take a picture. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But yeah, so last story, Cam, and this is another reason why I hate the University of North Carolina. So I went on a visit here. It was week one of this was week one of senior year, 2018, or maybe it was 27. Yeah, it's 2017 at this point. Week one, they were playing maybe like Pittsburgh. I can't remember who they were playing. But anyway, State was on the road. East Carolina was on the road. And my coach would get everybody, you just go up to my head coach and be like, hey, can I go to this game this weekend? He'd be like, yeah, sure. So all my boys were going to Carolina. I was like, screw it, I'll go to the Carolina game. Hit up my coach. He got me tickets to the Carolina game. Anyway, I will say, all no hate on Carolina. The actual facilities are very nice. The actual game day visit was very nice. They were the only field at that time that let the recruits go on the field, or they were the only team that let the recruits go on the field and watch the team run out of the tunnel. I thought that was really cool. But anyway, Cam, after the game, everybody from school stayed. There was 8 of us, 6 or 7 of us that stayed back, and we went and saw, I can't remember the guy's name, like Coach Hill or Coach Adams or something. He was a recruiting coordinator and defensive line coach for Raleigh. And I stayed back, and, we went in the locker room after the game and then went to the weight room to talk to the coaches, So first story, this coach daps up. There's like 5 or 6 of us, like I said, daps up every single person and just looks at me and gives me a head nod. And I'm like, all right, dude, screw you. And I was expecting a dap up, I'm sitting there trying to be cool. I go, what up, coach? How you doing? Ward Sewell, da 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 da. Didn't even dap me up, dapped everybody else up. I was like, all right, this freaking guy, I did have 2 people with me that were committed to Carolina at that point. Maybe that's why he was just interested in talking to them. But that's the first part of the story. Second part of the story about, Cam, this senior year, we went to a game about every weekend, So it came down to another weekend. They were playing somebody big at home. I think it was like a Clemson or a Miami at home. State was out of town. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go to Carolina. So anyway, I start hitting the coach up on Twitter. And I'm like, hey, coach, I can't remember what I said to him. And then I messaged him, and he messaged me back and said, keep up the hard work. I was like, hell yeah, I appreciate that. So I'm like, so am I going to see you on Saturday? Can you throw those tickets under Ward Sewell? And I messaged him something back, and then I messaged him, didn't hear back for like an hour or two, went back to my phone, and it said, you could no longer message this guy. The guy blocked me, long story short, for trying to go to the game. And I was like, all right, screw that guy. That's why Carolina sucks, 1. State beats them every year, 2. And who the hell wants to go to Carolina anyway? So yeah, Cam, that's my it got blocked by Carolina's recruiting coordinator on Twitter for him not dapping me up, and yeah, me hitting him up too much. So that's my story.
That's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I do want to say there's a lot of good recruiting stories. We had a lot of good stories from the podcast or from the recruiting process, like wholesome stories, but they're not really funny to tell on here. I do have one more award.
Yeah.
I went to Wake Forest for junior day, Wake Forest University, and the fake Wake Forest, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
And I used to do this thing where, I was 6'1" ish, maybe a little bit higher going into my senior year. But, 6'2", 6'3" looks a lot better than 6'1", 6'1.5", right? So what I would do is, those Dr. Scholl's like inserts that you put in your shoe, Ward?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would put those in my
Try to
socks.
do those all the time.
Well, I'd put them in my socks because, when you get to a visit, they make you take your shoes off, all that stuff. Well, I put them in my socks, and the coach that was measuring me looked down. And he's like, "What's in your socks?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Dude, I see them,
I
pop
hope
it out
you're
of your
kidding.
socks." What are? I was like, "It's Dr. Scholl, like Dr. Scholl's." I was trying to give myself like an extra half inch, and he just starts cackling, laughing, like hilarious. He's like, "So you want me to put you at 6 foot or 6'1"? I was like, "Well, I'm over 6'1". And he's like, "Yeah, but you tried to cheat it, so I'm taking a half inch off at least." I was like, "Well, put me at 6'1", then I'm not going to be 6".
No freaking way.
So, yeah, the offensive line coach, I forget his name at Wake Forest, caught me wearing Dr. Scholl's insoles in my
That's
socks
hilarious,
junior
dude.
day. But yeah,
Good times, man. Good times. I
lot,
miss it.
lot, lot of fun recruiting stories. I've got probably 10 more in the chamber that I thought of since we started this, but I know we got
All
to
right,
move on.
best game day visit you ever went to in the state.
NC State easily. I
Which
thought
game? Do you remember?
I don't remember who they were playing, but I was so mesmerized. And then I
Yeah,
went to their
NC
spring game
State,
too.
the best state one I ever went to. It was senior year when State beat Carolina. That was really cool. Yeah, I tell you, man, best food was Duke. I don't know if you ever went to
Yeah.
Duke or not. Duke had the
Yes.
best food. They had the best fried chicken on their recruiting visit that I'd ever had, dude.
Duke used to make us. I'd go for their big man camp and then go for a game every year,
Yeah.
and they'd make us surf and turf.
Duke was really cool too. That's awesome. Duke was really cool too because I remember game day visits. They would bring your position group into the actual
Yep.
individual meeting rooms, and you would
Yep.
meet with the coach and do whiteboarding sessions. I always thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
State didn't do that. State, you just you checked in, went upstairs, ate, and then they brought you into like the big team room, and like Coach Dorn would come in, say his thing. Coach Kitchens, who was our recruiting coordinator at the time, would do his spiel, and then you just hang out with those girls, and they bring you around everywhere.
Yeah. Well, honestly, too, like Charlotte was always a good game
Yeah,
day visit, especially
I
night
never went
games.
to Wake Forest, so I don't know about how there were.
I
I
didn't
never
go
went
on
to
a game
App
day.
either.
Yeah, I didn't go to a game day. I did go to App for one game. It was fun, but it was too cold. It was
Was
late in
it?
the year. Yeah, I did. I also went on a
What
game
about
day
Campbell?
visit.
You ever go there?
No,
I never went to
Elon.
Campbell either.
Elon was all
Elon was
right.
cool. I went to Elon one time.
Um,
They gave you they had a pretty cool badge from there. They gave me.
Western was cool until halftime, like you
Yeah,
said.
I
People
never went
kind
to
of.
Western.
I went on another one more story. My buddy Jay Gibbs, he was a senior our freshman year.
Oh
Went
yeah,
to
Jay
Western.
Gibbs played at Western.
Yeah, he went to Western. He played for
He's a
2 seasons.
stud too.
He was awesome. And I went on a visit, and he was my host. And he was like, "Bro, don't come here." I was like, "Why not?" He was like, "They with the prior coaching staff, they didn't house the guys during summer workouts with his staff. So he's like, I had to live in my car for summer workouts." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You don't have meal plans during the summer either." He's like, "Do not come here." So I was like, "Yeah, like I don't know if I want to come here anymore."
Yeah.
But yeah, another recruiting story. But I want to hear anybody. If anybody else has any good recruiting stories, I'd love to hear them because
Yeah.
I love recruiting stories, man.
Mhm.
I live for them. Ward, we move on. Memory lane. The standings right now, I have 35 points. You have 31 and a half. If you're new, we start off with a hint. If you get it on the first hint, you get 10 points. All the way down to the last hint, you get 1 point. We're trying to guess each other's athletes. So Ward,
Mhm.
I'm going to guess first because I feel like
Cool.
I've been making up ground guessing first.
Cool. All righty. Well, I started out really strong, and ladies and gentlemen, Cam's been kicking my ass since then. So well, cool deal. Well, Cam, I got an individual for 10 points. That was a two-sport athlete in college.
Okay. Okay. Uh let's go with Jameis Winston.
Not him, but I didn't know he was a two-sport athlete.
Yeah, he pitched for Florida State.
That's right. I forgot about that. Well, yeah. So cool, Cam, and I think you probably will get this guy pretty early. I will say I'm kind of running out of guys, but For Cam, for 9 points, this guy was an undrafted free agent in 2020.
2020. Wow. Okay.
So it's a newer guy.
Yeah, it is. So I was thinking my next guess until that hint was going to be Antonio Gates because he played both at Kent State. Um, let's go. Man, 2020 is tough. I can't think of any guys that played basketball and football like lately. Um, 2020 draft pick. So during COVID.
Remember, undrafted.
Oh, undrafted. Yeah, I forgot about
Undrafted
that
free
part.
agent in 2020.
Let's go. This is tough. I'm gonna need another hint. I'm not gonna sit
Okay,
here and act like I know.
cool. So, Cam, for 8 points, this is the one that will probably give it away. This guy went to Illinois State University.
Illinois State. Oh goodness. So he's an NFL player from Illinois. I couldn't tell you a guy from Illinois State. Only guy I know from Illinois State word is Antonio Reeves, who played for the Wildcats last year in basketball. Give me another one, man. I feel bad, but like I'm
All
not.
right.
I'm not gonna.
So this guy, if this narrows it down, just signed with his 5th NFL team.
Goodness gracious! 5 teams in 4 seasons.
And this team is never mind, that's another. I can't say who it is.
Okay, that's fine. Man, let's think here. Okay, we don't know any side. We don't even know a side of the ball yet. I'm thinking tight end. I
Well, Cam,
guess.
this guy, I've never done a defensive guy. I'm not saying what position he plays, but I've never done a defensive guy before. So
Yeah, you did. Mario Williams one time.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did do that. Well, this guy's not a defensive guy. I'll give you that hint for free.
Okay. So I'm thinking if he's two sport, I would assume tight end. Ward, you're not pulling one. You're not pulling a former teammate out on me, Michael Strawn.
No. Who?
Okay. Mike Strawn.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay. I played with him at Charleston. He was an All-American track athlete and All-American football player. He fit the criteria. I'll say that.
No. But all right, cool, Cam. For 6 points, this guy has had 23 total touchdowns in his time in the league.
Okay. 23 touchdowns, 5 teams in 4 years, undrafted, 2-sport. Like, should I know this guy's a 2-sport athlete?
Probably not. No.
Okay.
I didn't know it until I figured this
Okay.
guy out, and I was trying to think of a hard clue.
Man, I think you've stumped me on this one, unless there's a crazy hint coming. 23 touchdowns in 5 seasons is very mediocre. Man, let's go. Let's say next hint, man. I have nothing.
You'll realize who this guy is, and you'll be like, all right, Cam. This guy is currently on the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans Saints on offense. Undrafted, 2020. This isn't Raheem Shaheem, is it?
Not Raheem Shaheem. All right, Cam. For 4 points, this guy holds an NFL record.
Oh God.
He is an NFL record holder.
Okay. So quarterback room's out. Is it? No, it's Taysom Hill's been there his whole career. He also went to BYU, not Illinois State. I'm trying to think of their running backs. It's not Kamara. I think Shaheem Raheem is their only receiver that I actually know. I might have to give up, bro, because Jawan Johnson plays tight end for him. He went to Oregon. Man, I don't. This isn't Zakai Zacchaeus, is it?
It is not. I don't know who that is. All right, Cam. For 3 points, this guy was the #1 fantasy running back in the year of 2020.
Jesus, man.
Or maybe or it was his rookie year in the league. So I don't know. He was drafted, or he was an undrafted free agent in 2020. So yeah, 2020, he was the #1 fantasy running back.
Okay, and he plays for the Saints right now. Man. And they just signed him. I'm not up to date on my Saints, believe it or not. Man, so it's Alvin Kamara's backup, and I don't know who that is. So go Go ahead.
All right, Cam, for 2 points, this is going to give it away, I think. This guy is most known for his time on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh my God. Is this James Robinson?
James Robinson.
Oh my God. He plays for the Saints? Are you
I knew I
kidding
would
me?
get you on that one. He has
Wow.
been with 5 NFL teams. Jags, and I don't know the
Jets?
order on this, but he played for the Jags, and then he played for the Giants, Jets, Green Bay Packers, and he just signed with the Saints.
Wow. That is a name, Ward, like you said, I haven't heard since 2020.
Yep, I knew I would
Uh,
get you with that. And record holder, he has the most yards from scrimmage ever as an undrafted free agent,
okay.
or as a rookie undrafted free agent.
James Robinson, man. I'm glad. Yeah, that last hint gave it away, but I mean,
I thought
you,
you were going to get it when the one I thought you were going to get it with was when I said you're really good with facts. So when I said Illinois State, I thought you had it in the bag. He
no,
would play
no,
basketball too at Illinois State for
I
one
did
year.
not know that. That's crazy. I had no clue.
Yeah.
Shout out to James Robinson, man. People, me
I
included,
finally
forget.
got you on one, Cam. I got you on a good one.
That was
But
a
I
great
knew
one.
once I said the name, you're like, okay, this guy,
Yeah. I want to give you a round of applause on that one. That was probably the best one of the whole group
Yeah.
that we've done since we started this. Um, Ward, I got a guy for you who, for 10 points, is a one-time Pro Bowler, a one-time All-Pro, and a one-time Super Bowl champion.
Richard Sherman.
No.
No, Richard
Uh,
Sherman did.
this could give it away, but I'm going to bet that you don't even know what this is. This guy was the 33rd pick of the 2012 NFL supplemental draft.
I don't know what a supplemental draft is. 2012. This is before my prime, dude. I don't know. I'm thinking Seattle now. So Cam Chancellor.
No, it's not Cam Chancellor. For 8 points, Ward, this guy played for 5 different NFL franchises from 2012 to 2022.
Hmm. Kelvin Benjamin.
No, it is not Kelvin Benjamin. For 7 points, Ward, this guy's best season came in 2013, so his sophomore season in the NFL. He had 87 receptions, 1,646 yards, 9 touchdowns. This was also his All-Pro and Pro Bowl season.
Okay. Blanking on the name. Just well, if this is who I think it is, I can't think of the name right now. Is it a white guy that played for the Green Bay Packers, wide receiver?
You're thinking of Jordy Nelson, and no, it is not Jordy
Okay, I
Nelson.
was thinking of him or Wes Welker, so you eliminated 2 for me there. Okay.
Yeah, so no, I will tell you he is not a Caucasian man.
Okay.
For 6 points, Ward, this might give it away, and I think the next one will be a really good hint. This guy went to college at Utah and Baylor.
So he played with RG3. I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, your next hint for 5 points is he was teammates with RG3 during his Heisman campaign. So would you
I
like me
don't
to
know,
move
dude.
on?
I don't remember. I don't remember my facts from back then, unfortunately.
For 4 points, he most notably wore the jersey number 12.
All right, Cam, give me another hint. I don't remember.
Okay, I think this one will give it away. He was suspended in 2015 and 16 for violation of the league's substance abuse policy. So he didn't play in 2015 or 2016.
Not the guy the Redskins just signed. He got signed. He got in trouble for 2018.
Yeah.
15 and 16, man.
I mean, this guy was like top of his game, like in conversations, best receiver in the league, and then he got suspended.
It was not Martavis Bryant.
It is also why he had to transfer from Utah to Baylor. Like this guy is like a habitual policy abuser.
Names on the top of my head. I can't remember though. Give me another one if I have more hints left.
Yeah, for 2 points, he most notably played for the Cleveland Browns.
God, man. What is this guy's name? All right, Cam, go ahead and scratch it. I don't remember.
For 1 point, his nickname was Flash.
Not doing
Think
good.
of
No,
think of the number 24 car in racing. Who's the most famous number 24 car driver?
Jeff Gordon,
Okay, you got his last name. It's Josh Gordon.
Josh
Flash
Gordon.
Gordon.
Good
Yeah.
one. Yeah, no, I don't remember him that well. I remember him kinda, but
He was
see, Cam, I
incredible.
told you it was just a matter of time for this game got me. I've gotten 0 points in the last like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been rough for you. And I feel like I'm giving you, like these guys were Pro Bowlers. Like I'm these
Yeah.
guys. Maybe the hints can be bad. Maybe I'll change the hints
No,
up a
you're
little.
doing good. It's just I'm not good at this game. I don't remember
I
a lot
got
of
you.
players. I don't remember
Um,
some
so
stuff. So
for
that
the
was a good one though,
standing,
Cam.
yeah, that was a rough go for both of us though, Ward. For standings, I'm at 37 points. Ward is still stuck at 31 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta get rid of that half point at some point, Ward.
I
But
know.
moving on, top stories. We're gonna go through UFC 305 real quick. If you don't like UFC, just mute us for like a minute and 30 seconds. Real quick, Ward. We touched on it earlier. Taito Avasa was absolutely outclassed by Jarino Rosenstrike. Um, this was Ty's kind of his last chance to make a run in heavyweight. I just don't see a way for him to even move inside the top 10 again. Um, but did you what fights on this card did you watch?
The only one I saw was Izzy, to be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only
Ward
one
was
I
at a
saw
wed-
was Izzy.
Yeah, Ward was at a wedding for those of you
Yeah, I
wondering.
was
So,
at one of my buddies got married, and I was the middle of the wedding reception was during this fight, so the only one I watched was Izzy.
Ward, I don't know if you saw this. Dan Hooker won by split
I
decision
saw
over
the
Gamrot.
highlights.
Yeah, Dan Hooker is now officially a top 5 UFC fighter. So shout out to Dan Hooker getting up there at the top 5 in his weight class.
Yeah,
Uh, Kai Kara France with a knockout victory over Steve Urseg, the Aussie. Um, that was a very fun fight to watch. It was a really good day for city kickboxing until the main event, which subsequently led in Dricus Duplessis submitting Israel Adesanya in the 4th round. Ward, give
hmm
us your thoughts on that fight. We know you're the number one Izzy hater, so let us
yeah.
know what you're
So
thinking.
man, I think it just proves that Izzy's on his downfall. See, Dracus, I don't know. It seemed very close. I mean, I didn't think either one of them was pulling away. I thought Izzy had maybe. Yeah, I think it was going into the 4th round. I think one judge would have had it 2-1 Izzy, one judge would have had it 2-1 Dracus, and then I don't know. So, but man, to be honest with you, it's just like Izzy looks slower now.
He
And
does.
you know me, I've never been a big Izzy fan, but his like you're not sitting at the edge of your seat when he's throwing punches like, oh, he's about to catch this guy. I mean, Izzy it didn't seem like he didn't throw many leg kicks like he usually does. It's just like he's fighting different now. I don't know if which one got to him. I don't know if it was Sean Strickland that got to him. I mean, he beat Pereira, but I don't know if it was that Pereira knockout. But I don't know, Cam. You probably watched it harder than I have. So how about you give your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you that he's slower. He's much
Yeah,
slower than he used to be. Um, I can't pinpoint a fight, but if you watch like his wins in the UFC, a lot of them were they were exchanging inside the pocket and he hit him with a hook. Like he just got a guy.
yeah,
And it just feels like he's losing these exchanges now and he's going against a guy with more power. Like Pereira has more power than anybody he had ever fought in the UFC.
yeah,
Dricus probably has more power than anybody not named Alex Pereira in that division. And Sean Strickland hit him with a clean shot, and he was just not Israel Adesanya anymore during that fight. So,
yeah,
like you said, man, he's been on the downturn, but like I really think, like you watched, this is probably the last shot he was ever going to get to retain that middleweight championship that he held for so long.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
no, you're right, man. You're right. Unless he gets a money fight at some point, which I'm sure he will. I don't know, man. That's a good question.
well, and like after the fight, he was taking his gloves off. I thought he was going to leave his gloves and retire, and then he pulls the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving. I'm not effing leaving. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I watched Izzy when he was a kickboxer, and I watched every single fight of his in the UFC. I was a huge Israel Adesanya fan, and I've kind of backtracked on that. I'm not as much, but I still love watching him fight. I love his
yeah,
fight style, but he's just not that guy anymore.
yeah. No, you're right, Cam. 100% right. Hold on. My computer's about to die. Let me carry for like 2 minutes. Let me grab my charger real quick so it doesn't die
Okay,
on
I
me.
got you. Yeah, I don't think you even knew who this guy was. I think that's what you said before we started. So Malachi Nelson Ward, um, he is a former 5-star recruit. He's the number one recruit in the country. He went to Southern Cal out of high school to play for the Trojans. And sorry guys, it's hard to look at a black screen and talk. He went to USC to play for the Trojans. He's originally committed to Oklahoma, goes with the coach to Southern Cal. He transferred this season, this cycle, to Boise State, where he's kind of just penciled in as a starter. If you play college football 25, he's like an 87 overall. He's a sophomore quarterback. He lost to Maddox Madsen, the QB1 job at Boise State. Maddox Madsen was in the same class as Malachi Nelson. He was ranked the 1,333rd quarterback in that class or player in that class, and like the 365th quarterback in that class. So, 2-star, 3-star recruit in some services, but former number one overall quarterback Malachi Nelson loses his job to a former 2-star prospect in Maddox Madsen at Boise State. I don't know where you go from here if you're Malachi Nelson. Like you got beat out 2 years in a row at Southern Cal. You go to Boise State, you get beat out. I don't know where you go from here. But a guy who is like kind of penciled in as a top 5 draft pick can't even get on the field at Boise State. Ward.
Just noticed I was still on mute. My apologies. Yeah, I know we were talking about it earlier. I didn't even know who this guy was, Cam, to be 100% honest with you.
All good.
Yeah, very interesting. But I think it shows for like a walk-on mentality is what a lot of people say. Start at the end of the day, once you get to college, like you may have stars in high school, but once you get to college, everybody's in the same boat. There is no stars or price tags on people's head. At the end of the day, when you get to college, it's all about, showing out. And this guy, I don't know what happened. I don't know, but yeah, very interesting.
Well, when you look at the scope of college football now, people have more of an incentive to pay higher recruits because they gave more NIL money to them.
Yeah.
But like, especially back when we were coming into college, like once you step in that locker room, your 24/7 account doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What On3 has you rated as doesn't matter. The best guy is going to play.
Yeah.
And we see that now with Malachi Nelson. Ward, we're going to do an SEC preview and an ACC preview. I legit did a write-up on the SEC, so if you get bored, just let me know and we'll move on.
No, you're good, brother.
I've got the
Hey, I
SEC.
will say time though, Cam. I got to run in like 8 minutes, right? 8 to
Okay.
10 minutes. So
Okay, I'll fly through this.
okay.
I've got 5 categories for SEC teams. I've got top dogs, outside looking in, fighting for 8 to 9 wins, make it or break it seasons, and the bottom of the barrel. Top dogs include Georgia, Alabama, Texas. Georgia has a prospective quarterback 1 in college football. He returns for the Dogs. Carson Beck is primed for a make it or break it season. This O-line for Georgia is the best unit under the Kirby Smart tenure, and this defense in Athens, Ward, they don't reload or they don't rebuild, they reload. The only worry for this Georgia team is depth and players staying out of trouble off the field. Key players: Carson Beck, Nasir Stackhouse, which was one of Ward's winners when we thought he was going in the draft, and Mikael Williams. Bama has a difficult schedule for first-year coach Caleb DeBoer. Heisman frontrunner coming in at quarterback, though, with an experienced offensive line. Does not hurt their cause. Their front 7 will be great on defense. The back end will be a question with the loss of Caleb Downs. Key players: Jalen Milroe, Caden Proctor at left tackle, Tyler Booker at left guard, and Deontay Lawson at linebacker. Texas, we're starting to see a trend here, Ward. Top teams in the SEC all have a slotted first-round draft pick at quarterback. Texas is no different. Quinn Ewers is at the helm. The 4th-year head coach, Sarkisian, he has a future first-round pick in Kelvin Banks at left tackle. They're losing 2 wideouts and 2 D tackles to the NFL. So the big question is, will the next crop of talent be able to step up in those positions? Quinn Ewers, Kelvin Banks, and Burke are my key players for Texas. Outside looking in, Ole Miss coming off a school record, 11 wins. Their high-powered offense is back with signal caller Jackson Dart. The Rebs made a splash, bringing in the number 1 rated player in the portal and Walter Nolan. This should be a playoff team with the new 12-team playoff Ward. And I wrote this. That's why I'm looking over here.
No, you're good, brother.
Josh Heupel has brought back the air raid in the SEC for Tennessee. After he struggled in year one, the Vols have taken the necessary strides to bring back the relevance of the 90s. Or the question is, does history repeat itself? Can redshirt freshman Nico Iamaleava be the next Peyton Manning and bring Tennessee back to prominence? Missouri, the Tigers were the surprise team in the SEC last year. They finished with 11 wins, second place in the SEC East, and a New Year's Six bowl victory. Ultimately propelling head coach Eli Drinkwitz off the hot seat. Although they will have to replace a lot of firepower on the defensive end and the All SEC kicker Harrison Mevis, Mizzou brings back the likes of QB1 Brady Cook, and in my opinion, the best college football or best receiver in college football, Luther Burden. LSU, a team with all the talent to make a push to the college football playoff. They do have the best offensive lineman in the college football in Will Campbell, who is the only lineman in school history to have the honor of wearing the illustrious number 7. He's wearing it on a jersey patch. They do replace Jaden Daniels, which is not an easy thing to do. But the question here is the defense. Can the defense stop the high-powered offenses of the SEC? Oklahoma, first year in the conference. Brent Venables entering his 3rd season of his subpar tenure with the Sooners. This is one of the biggest swing teams in the SEC to me, Ward. You look at their schedule, there's a path to win 10 games. It is also plausible that we're talking about a 7-win ball club. The loss to Dillian Gabriel and Tyler Guyton will be a tough blow to the squad. They returned a lot of skill, talent, and pieces from the defense a year ago. The Sooners will play what is the 2nd hardest schedule in the SEC behind South Carolina this season. Real quick, fighting for 8 to 9 wins. A&M, former DC under Jimbo Fisher, Mike Elko, takes over the Aggies in year 1 of his campaign. One of the best talent developers in the whole sport. He takes over a depleted roster that Jimbo left behind. They do have Connor Wegman, who beat out Max Johnson for the starting job last year. Their offensive line is their biggest question mark. Auburn, Hugh Freeze returning for year 2 of the Tigers. They suffered heartbreaking and program-changing losses to Alabama and UGA last year. They should have an explosive offense and passing game with a quarterback in Peyton Thorne who can extend plays and be a headache for opposing defenses. The question is, will they have the talent and the depth to keep up with the Joneses of the SEC? Kentucky in the hunt for 8 or 9 wins. After an absolutely embarrassing offseason when it comes to PR, the longest tenured coach in the SEC looks to get back to his winning ways in Lexington. The Cats killed the transfer portal, bringing in Brock Vandegrift, a ton of skill players, and 2-time national champion starting linebacker Jamin Dumas-Johnson. Ton of returners, top 5 pick, and Deion Walker is going to be back. Make it or break it season, South Carolina. They had 2 consecutive winning seasons with Shane Beamer. They plummeted to 4-8 last season. They lost quarterback Spencer Rattler, but they are replacing him with a blue chip recruit in Lenore Sellers, who is the starter as of yesterday. They also have one of the most dynamic players in college football replacing Xavier Legette, and his name is Nick Harbor. He's a 6'5", 230-pound wideout who is a record holder in the 100-meter sprint award. They just got to get back to their winning ways. Florida, the Billy Napier experiment has been an all-systems failure for the Gators. His teams have seemingly lost every close game they've been in. He doesn't recruit the state of Florida well, and they're 11-14 in his 10 years. Their NIL is all out of whack. The Gators do bring back Graham Mertz at the helm, but lose a starting back in Trevor Etienne to Georgia. This defense gave up 33.6 points a game in conference last year. I would bet every dollar to my name that Billy Napier does not have a job at Florida next season. Arkansas, after an incredible debacle of firing Sam Pittman in week 13 last year, then a week later rehiring him, the Hogs have brought a familiar face, minus the neck brace. Bobby Petrino will be the offensive player caller for the Hogs this season. Since I never thought that would come out of my mouth in the year of 2024. They lose star quarterback KJ Jefferson to UCF and star running back to Rocket Sanders at South Carolina. Although all of Arkansas is behind Sam Pittman, at the end of the year, it will be time to call the Hogs home. They'll be looking for a new head coach. Bottom of the barrel, Mississippi State, 3rd coach in 3 years. They lose Will Rogers, who's a record holder in the SEC. They're going to be bad. And Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt. They're going to be awful. So, Ward, I know I went through that pretty quick. So if you have any questions.
Hey, man, hats off to you, my friend.
Yeah, I might post that. I might make a blog and post that. That was actually a really good write up.
I think that sounded very good, Cam. I will time wise, I'll do my preview next week. I don't
Okay,
have
cool.
time to run through everything now, but that sounded really good. I wanted to give credit where credit's due. Cam, real quick, let's run through unless you want to run through any of the other stuff. I say we run through week 0 preview and we'll
All
get
good.
out of here. Breaking news, Bo Nix just was named as starting quarterback for the Broncos. So a couple weeks ago we were talking about what's his name? Zach Wilson and Stidham or
George
whatever his name
Stidham.
is. Yeah, they're not it. So Bo Nix had a good preseason. He's a starter. But
There you go.
anyway, Cam, week 0, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Give me your thoughts and why.
Yeah, Florida State's minus 10.5 point favorite. Over under set at 55.5. This game is in Dublin, Ireland. The books are
Was
putting
it like
out
a
that
9 a.m. kickoff?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's 12 Eastern here, I think. But yeah, a lot of the Vegas guys are saying that a lot of the sharp money is on Georgia Tech. That's exactly what they say if they want you to bet on Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Florida State minus 10.5 is free money in this football game. I would go over the 55.5 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, man. I think I don't know if the over is going to hit. This is one thing, dude. A lot of cold feet. So I'll take the under on this, Cam. I'll be the ballsy one to take the under. Florida State has a completely different team. Georgia Tech, they're playing across the country, or they're playing in a new country. They're playing in Ireland. It's week 1. There's going to be cold feet. Everybody always starts off slow. So, yeah, I will actually take the under on this, but I do think Florida State nudges it out. And then, Cam, jumping forward, SMU, Nevada. This is one that I think has a chance to have some fireworks because this SMU team, I'm getting to it next week. I think this SMU team is going to be pretty damn good. They are obviously now in the ACC. This team went undefeated in the American Athletic Conference last year. They also have a top 15 quarterback in college football and passing yards, total completions, and passing touchdowns. So I think that this SMU team has a chance to have some fireworks, and very excited for this.
Yeah, SMU 25-point favorite. I'm going with the favorite in this game, even though they're traveling to Nevada. Over under set at 56.5. I think this is going to be a high scoring weekend of college football. I'm going to hit the over.
Yep. Cool. And then Cam, last but not least, Delaware State, Hawaii. If Delaware State ever gets to Hawaii, we'll see if
Yeah,
this game happens or not. But give me Hawaii.
yeah. Hawaii is 40-point favorites. Ward. They do have former Kentucky Wildcat DeKel Crowdis playing wide out for them. The over under set at 57.5. So if you're doing the math, they're saying Hawaii 41 and I think Delaware State 17. So I'm going to take Hawaii to cover 40 points, I guess. I'm going to go all favorites, all Everest this weekend.
I like it, Cam. I like it. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, brother.
Oh, I was just going to pet peeve of the week real quick. Ward, we're not in college anymore. I see all these kids moving into college. There's nothing better than the first week back at college, especially if you get there like
Yeah.
3 days before class starts, 4 days before class starts. So not moving into college anymore is my pet peeve.
There's nothing like the first party back from summer with all the boys and going out and seeing everybody you haven't seen in a while. So yeah, I do miss college. Cam, mine, anybody that's in sales will know is the art of following up, especially with clients on deals. It gets old, but yeah, so that's my pet peeve of the week.
There we go. That was episode 67 of the Fat Katz podcast. Real quick, want to remind everybody Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Be a Friend, Tell a Friend, Instagram, and TikTok at Fat Katz Pod. Ward, it was a pleasure as always, my friend.
Pleasure as always, my friend Cam. Good to see you, brother. And I put 67 in the book, 68 is next week. So
Yep.
have a great day. I'll text you when I get this live, and I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Peace.
Peace.